Hello, welcome on this new training. We will speak now about the VDA. So, VDA, what is it? So, the VDA is something that you must install, the virtual delivery agent, where your resources are available. So, let's do a small drawing to be sure that you understand what I'm telling. So the VDA, the name is Virtual Delivery Agent. So remember in our actually what we did in our lab is that we have installed only a broker. So we have this broker, the delivery controller, and this broker is connected, remember, to another VM with the SQL. This is the database. And of course, if a user wants to use something, he will connect through a storefront. We didn't see the storefront actually, it will be in the other topics. And with the storefront, storefront will send information by default on the port 80 to the broker, and the broker will say, okay, this user, which resources he's allowed to have. And for that, he will request it to the SQL server. But which resources? Which resources? I don't see any resources. Of course, now we will speak really what is XAMPP and virtual desktop, or virtual apps and virtual desktop. So we need somewhere resources. And remember that we have three kind of resources. Either I have XAMPP, so it's just VMs. Okay, let's say we have, for example, 3 VMs. And on this VM, for example, I installed a 2016 server. And remember that on these VMs, I will install my application here. So all my application, I will install them directly on this server. Of course, because you know that Citrix, the user here just need a laptop or a desktop with a small software, and the name is Citrix Receiver. Remember, the workspace apps, because it has changed. Citrix workspace app. So of course nothing is installed here, all is installed here. So if I need, for example, the user to access applications that are currently installed on this server, there must be a way that the user connect when he run, for example, Excel. Excel is running here, and there must be a way to connect to Excel, and of course to display Excel. So meaning when I run Excel here via the protocol HGX, previously ICA, the Excel must appear here. So the user see Excel, but Excel is running here. For that, it's not magical, of course. You will need to install on all these servers the VDA, and VDA. So VDA is an agent that is installed on each machine for resource delivery. Okay, so the VDA allows these resources machine to host running apps or desktop. I mean that, for example, if a user wants to access a full desktop, I can access, of course, the server desktop. So that user will have access to a full desktop, like if it was a Windows 10 computer, but not, because it's just a shared desktop here. Where can I install the resources? I can install them also on XenDesktop. So I can have, for example, let's say 50 Windows 10, and I will install here on all these VM the VDA. Of course, I will not do it manually. I'll do it with MCS, for example. So when user connect to the broker say, okay, this user can have access to VDA, so his Windows 10 computer. And of course, the connection will be done like this. Sorry, this, yeah, here. So ICA and now HDX, of course. And the VDA can be also installed on the office. So imagine that you have a desktop here, a desktop. You can install the VDA on this desktop, and the user can access everywhere in the world his desktop, like TeamViewer. Okay, so same thing. So the VDA, that's it. The VDA. The user connect to the session, so to the VDA. So this is the first thing that you must understand, is that of course you need the VDA. So the VDA is really the intermediate between the delivery controller and the user device. Okay? Why? Because when you install the VDA will say to the broker, hey, I'm here. I'm here. So the broker now, if you run PowerPoint, he will know where is PowerPoint actually installed, because the agent here speak with the broker, and the broker knows, because of course via the studio you will tell where is Excel. So the VDA is an agent that is installed on machine running Windows Server or Windows Desktop operating system, and that allow this machine and the resources they host to be made available to user. For the VDA that is running on Windows Server, that means that you allow multiple connection for multiple user by the following port. He tried to connect to the VDA. Of course, the connection to the VDA is made on 80, but if you have a certificate in the VDA, it will be 443. Okay, and by default, the connection to between the receiver here and the VDA is made by the port 2598 with the CGP. The name is Citrix Gateway Protocol. We enable session reliability, so meaning that if the user has a Wi-Fi with stops or a problem with 4G, the application will be displayed on the computer, and when the 4G come back, the Wi-Fi come back, the user can continue to work with the application CGP. And with legacy client, you use 1494 with the very historical, everybody. So it's disabled by default. So if CGP, is disabled, or if the user is connecting via legacy client, he will use 1494. Okay, let's go back here to our here. So the VDA is installed in each physical or VM in your site that you make available to user. Those machines deliver application or desktops. The VDA enables the machine to register with the controller. Remember, hey, I'm here. Hey. So if you have, for example, 200 VDA on 200 Windows 10 machines, so for a virtual desktop, all the machine will say, hello, controller, how are you? Okay, so the controller now knows that there is 200 VDA, and that when the user connect, if it's in a pool mode, the broker will say, okay, take the VDA that you want. I have 200, of course. And if I run an Excel application, of course, here I have my VDA with my server. So the VDA enable the machine to register with the controller, of course, which allow the machine and the resources it is hosting to be made available to user. VDA establish and manage the connection between the VM and the user device. He verified that a Citrix license is available for the user or session and apply whatever policies have been configured. Remember that the VDA communication information to the broker in the controller through the broker agent in the VDA. The broker agent hosts multi-plugin and collect real-time data, and it communicates by default on port 80. So which type to use? So you have, for example, hosted shared. Hosted shared is where you install the VDA, okay, on a Windows operating system uh, with 2016, okay, for example. And you know that, so when you have a Windows server, when you install the VDA, it will install automatically the RDS, formerly known as Terminal Server installed. This type is referred to multi-server OS, server OS VDA, and share. The other one is a VDA desktop, single user. We saw all that in the Flexcast, but I just recall. VDA refers to single server OS, desktop OS VDA, and this delivery type is based on client operating system and is exclusively used by a single user at a time. What I suggest is that hosted shared desktop tend to be more effective as multi-user are hosted on a single VM, of course, because when it's publishing apps, it's Windows Server RDS. Nevertheless, there are use cases where a VDI desktop is preferred. For example, if you have users who need intensive application, we're going to use a lot of CPU, memory, and disk. Also, users who need admin privilege to work. For example, require VDI due to security consideration and have the ability to install application, change the desktop without impacting other users. Okay, so before seeing the install, how to install the VDA, let's do a small recapitulation. The VDA is installed, of course, is installed, like you say, on, for example, here 2016 server. Okay, so if it's installed on this server here, that means that you have XenApp, so virtual apps. People use the user connect to a shared server. This is RDS, so you can have, for example, 100 user here, 100 users here, and 100. This is the best, a nice Flexcast model. The VDA can be installed also on Windows operating system like Windows 10. So now we speak about Xen Desktop in two modes, pool or dedicated. And the last one, you can install VDA on the physical desktop of the user. So that's a VDA. Which type to use? Remember that there is application, so it's hosted shared, or of course, Xen Desktop is single user. Thank you for all, and hope to see you in the next lecture. We'll see how to install the VDA. Bye bye.